August 26th Jackson County Commission work session to order. Have a roll call.
District 1,
Present.
District 2,
Present.
District 3,
Present.
and District 4.
Present.
Quorum is present. Have our invocation by Mr. Porter and our pledge by Mr. Miller.
Lord God in heaven, we are blessed to be here today. We thank you so much for the blessing to live in this country, to live in this county. We thank you for the natural beauty of the county that we're able to enjoy, and also the beauty of the people that live in this county. God, we pray that you'll continue to bless us all. Be with these gentlemen as they discuss the business of the county today. We pray that in all things your will be done, and the good of the people will be foremost in their minds. God, we pray you'll continue to watch over us and save us. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item is the approval of the agenda, and we do have a meeting following this work session. So as we begin, we have 9 items on the agenda. Do we have any changes before we proceed? If there are none, entertain a motion to approve the agenda with these items.
So moved.
Motion, we have a second.
Second.
Okay, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Have you had anyone sign up this evening? No one signed up for public comment. So we'll move right on to the discussion items. The first item regarding courthouse security, Mr. Sheriff.
Good evening, everyone. I guess everybody here knows who I am, but for the benefit of everybody else that don't know who I am, I'm Deputy Tony Williams, and the sheriff has asked me to give you a status of our ongoing effort to register our X-ray equipment. Those are some handouts that I put together for you to kind of trail along, short brief, and hopefully I'll be done in just a few minutes. And as a matter of background, the Code of Alabama 2214 establishes the regulation of all ionizing equipment, radiation-producing equipment, and it gives that responsibility over to the State of Alabama Office of Radiation Control to administer the program. State of Alabama Administrative Code 42326. In the State of Alabama Department of Public Health, Office of Radiation Control. And the Office of Radiation Control memorandum dated 26 July requested that the counties comply with the administrative code. We're not in compliance with the administrative code, nor was 51 other counties in the State of Alabama, so we're not alone. I was tasked to go ahead and fill out the paperwork to register the equipment, and in that process I found that there were some deficiencies. The summary of requirements are stated in front of you. We have to develop and promulgate a radiation safety plan. We have to assign a radiation safety officer. We need to train personnel and equipment operation to include radiation safety hazards, post-required reading, monitoring, and testing of equipment operational integrity, and radiation leakage, and the documentation and record keeping, which pretty much none of this had been done in the past except for some training of personnel. The recommendations that were brought about, formalized, and I believe that the sheriff and the chief have bought off on, is split into 2 aspects. One is near term and the other one is long term. Near term is the contract for and completed and equipment survey testing, and that's going to cost some money, and I'll go over that a little bit in detail in just a minute. To develop and promulgate a radiation safety plan, assign a radiation safety officer. All essential personnel and equipment operators read the manuals and post required material. The long term, develop, promulgate a Jackson County Courthouse Security Plan. That would be in accordance with the state of, the Supreme Court of the state of Alabama, and include in that this section that the near term is recommended be promulgated. Establish a preventive maintenance and testing program of the equipment. Staff the security program commensurate with its requirements and budget for replacement equipment. Now, as a matter of comment, the near-term requirement, the thing that needs to be addressed here today, I think the paramount issue to be addressed here, before we can really go any further with registration of equipment, it's going to have to be surveyed and and radiation testing be completed. The testing actually amounts to taking equipment, placing it in the proximity of the equipment, and judging whether or not you have spurious radiation emitting from the machine that would endanger the operator and or the public at large. So that's the critical thing here. We're actually developing the radiation safety plan, and I presented that to the chief today. Well, we discussed somewhat, and I think the chief and the sheriff are going to discuss as a matter of who to assign as the radiation safety officer. And then the training and documentation of the training of the people will be underway shortly. And then, of course, post-required material in accordance with the administrative instruction. Once again, the detail that needs to be brought out here this afternoon is the survey of the equipment and the testing of the equipment. I've gone to L3 Communications, and I've got a quote from them for $2,100. I've also gone to Point Security out of, I believe it's South Carolina, it could be North Carolina, but they haven't responded yet. They've given me a quote over the phone of $1,080. But they're running into a problem too. It seems that all the companies that would service the equipment have to be registered with the same people that we have got to register these pieces of equipment with. So I'm thinking the reason why they're slow in responding to me with pieces of paper, only giving me an idea over the phone of the cost, is they're trying to straighten out their registration with the same people that we're confronted to. And that just about summarizes it. Are there any questions?
Is this a contract that, is it a one-time thing, $2,100, and they come in and do the test one time?
Thank you, that's a good question, I didn't bring that out. Yes, this time it would be a one-time cost. But as you can see, part of the recommendation is not, one of the recommendations is that you need to establish a preventive maintenance program.
Right.
And that would be an ongoing cost. And I'm thinking that after discussing this with the Office of Radiation Control, that probably every 2 years to come down and take a look at the equipment would be sufficient. The other consideration too would be the cost that it would take on an unscheduled maintenance basis. Those figures I have no idea of. The third thing to consider is the long-term recommendation down here is a budget for the replacement equipment. And the reason why that's put in here, everybody agrees, everybody that I talked to, is that the LX 5.3, that's the piece of equipment that you see on the north end of the courthouse. It's really just a piece of junk. And it could go out any time. When it does go out, you're going to run into a problem of actually finding the repair parts to fix it. If it's a question of a capacitor or resistor or something like that, then you probably have no problem. But if it's a part that's critical to the operation of the machine, then you're going to run into a problem with that. And the SYS 222 machine that we have on the south end is about 11 years old. So it's it's getting on up there in years too.
When this survey is complete, Deputy Williams, will they provide us with a certificate to show the public that we have done this testing and it's passed or what have you?
Good question. The answer to that is yes, it's a requirement. We have to publish that also. That's part of this material that has to be placed out where people can see it.
Very good.
Other questions? If to do this, that quote, if we were to put this on the first meeting in September, which is the second Monday, whatever the date on that is, would that be plenty of time? That's the 9th of September. Would that be enough time for us? It's not something we have to move forward with tonight. We could do it on the 9th. Would that be appropriate?
The quote that I got from L3 Communications, I believe was dated the 7th of August.
Okay.
And I think we have about a 30-day window on that quote. But I'm sure that it's going to be in the general ballpark of the same number. And if we go back to 30 days.
What I'd like to do, if no one's opposed, is we'll take a look at that quote, get that information. If we have any other quotes come in between now and that time, compare those, and then, of course, make sure that they've got all the certifications necessary and make a recommendation. If we'd like to make a recommendation on the 9th on how to proceed, would that be appropriate?
Yeah.
Be fine with you?
Fine with me.
Okay.
Should be fine.
Any other questions?
I would ask that you continue to try to get a written quote from this other company that gave you a verbal quote.
Yes, sir.
Now, I would like to say, I appreciate all the work you've done on this. You've mentioned what needs to be done here, and he's really done a good job of getting the information together and putting this together, so we do appreciate this, and hope to have a good plan in place once it's all done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, several items for public work. First item is the annual bid.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think most of y'all have a list of, we've got a list of about 20 bids that we do annually. I know this is y'all's first time to go through this process, so I'll kind of go through them individually and let you know what we're doing. Everybody found the list? We have to do, we do these annual bids. It starts out the October 1st, the new fiscal year, and we actually opened these bids on August the 15th. And I'll start and go through the reasons that the recommendations are, what we've submitted, and if y'all got any questions about them, just stop me and we'll talk about it. Our first bid was for plant mix that we pick up at the plant at Jackson here in Scottsboro. Of course, Jackson Paving and Construction, they was actually the only bidder on this service, and they usually are, or I should say always are. So we would recommend them for that. Also, plant mix that is put in place by contractor Jackson Paving was also the only bidder on that, as they always are again. And those prices is real comparable with last year. I think it was just a few cents lower on those. The labor to put down our bituminous surface treatment, again, Charlie Watts was the only bidder, and he's about the only contractor in the state, with the exception of one, and they don't do a lot of county work. And so he again was the only bidder. I believe his price came down like 2 cents a square yard from last year, so a little bit of difference on it. The next one is crushed limestone. I want to talk about that one just a little bit more in depth. We had two bidders, Vulcan Materials here in Scottsboro and also Madison Materials in Gunnersville. Madison Materials was a little bit cheaper, just looking at rock per ton. It varied anywhere from $1/4 a ton cheaper. Some of them, a couple of them is the same on, but from $1/4 a ton to as high as about $2.50 a ton on some of the larger riprap material. But looking at the worst case scenario, if we have to go to Gunnersville and pick it up, then we're going to be adding another hour to hour and 15 minutes on our labor, also wear and tear on the truck, fuel. We figured all that in and tried to account for all that. And it will cost us less to go with the second bidder on this because of the hauling. as far as, when the difference in it, it will be quite a bit cheaper, if you consider everything. In my bid, when we put the bids out, we, make a note in there that bids award will be based on price bid and also haul distances. So, that is covered in the bid. Don't have any questions about that?
How often do we pick up all that type of material?
Every day, every day, yeah.
Well, why don't we not stockpile it? Why don't we get a price for them to bring it to us?
We got that in the
Loaded
bid,
it
we
there.
got that in the bid.
Is that what this is?
It can go either way. We've got it us picking it up at the plant or them bringing it to us. And it's still substantially higher. If you figure that, by the time they add in their haul cost, it's still quite a bit more. I think their haul cost is like $4.50 a ton per ton mile.
But even Vulcan, you can call and get it
Yeah,
stockpiled and.
yeah. We actually done that, Chairman Hodges, remember when we had the flood, we had to use their hauling
Okay.
to go to Bryant with it because we just run out of trucks. But in looking at it that way, Vulcan steel is a lower price.
Very good.
The next thing is our CRS2 liquid asphalt and our liquid asphalt with polymer. This is the material that we, the liquid that we use for our tar and gravel paving and also that we put in our tank for our deer patching machine. One item on this, we had two bidders on this, in Hudson and Ergun. In several places, August 2013 is referenced in the bid. We had one typo, and I've talked to Mr. Porter about this. Instead of changing it to 2013, we left it 2012. We caught that before we opened the bids, and we discussed it with both the vendors that did submit a bid, and they both indicated they realized it should be 2013. They bid as such. So I discussed this with Mr. Porter, and he said that's really not a problem. So Ergun was actually substantially lower than the other bidder, and actually I think it's about 22 cents lower than it was last year a gallon. So got a pretty good bid on that. The CRS2 was $1.97 a gallon, and the polymer was $2.22. Aluminized pipe, contact products, construction products out of Englewood, Tennessee. They've had a bid for several years. They was again the only bidder, and theirs are actually a little bit cheaper than it was last year. Concrete pipe, Hanson Pipe out of Huntsville was the only bidder, and most of the prices is real comparable to maybe a few cents less or a few cents more than what it was last year. Guardrail, Alabama Guardrail out of Pinson. They were also about the only company that does this in Alabama. And again, they were the only bidder. They've had a bid for years. They're also the one that burnt the truck up on 79 a couple of weeks ago when they hit the natural gas line. Class A concrete we use mostly for our bridge work, bridge replacement, bridge repair. Kind of surprised, Sequatchie had their bid last year. Kirkpatrick had always had it prior to that. We did have a few issues last year, but this year Kirkpatrick was the only bidder, and their price on that was like $105 a cubic yard for the material.
What PSI concrete was it?
They actually bid everything from $3,000 to $5,000 for $105. So it's $3,000, $3,500, $4,000, $5,000 is all bid at $105. So we're going to be buying about 5,000 PSI mix, I guess, since it's the same price. The next item is our paint striping that we do our traffic stripes, markings, and pavement markers with. J.C. Cheek has been the bidder for years, or contractor we've been using, always done a real good job. And they was also our low bidder, not our only bidder, but our low bidder. I recommend them for that. Herbicide, Helena's had it for years. Again, they was the only bidder. I've got a little footnote there just to make y'all aware of. We also do a herbicide bid at the state level through the County Commission Association. I actually am the chairman of that committee that does that, and we always reserve the right to purchase from the state if the price is cheaper than what we get at the local level. Next, in unleaded gasoline, diesel, and kerosene. We actually remove kerosene because we never buy any. This time, Jet Oil Company was the only bidder. We'd had some, I think, y'all aware, we had a few issues last year with the company, but I jotted those prices down. This is 100% gasoline. You have to have that. I think that works better than sheriff's cars. So we bid 100%. This is, no alcohol. 87 octane is $3.10 a gallon. 89 octane is $3.20 a gallon. And diesel is $3.29 a gallon. This price, we have to take into account the construction fuel index that this is based on, so that could, depending on the price of gasoline and diesel fuel throughout the year, that price can fluctuate based on that index that's put out every month by the DOT.
What about your off-road for your equipment?
There's no taxes on it anyway. We can buy, the off-road is the same as on-road without it, since we don't pay any taxes. So we keep clear diesel in our tank, so we can. Sometimes there's some question about that. Actually, we had a contractor, Whitaker, actually, they got a ticket over having red diesel in one of their pieces of equipment because it was on the road doing paving work. So we just stay with straight, clear diesel fuel and use the on-road. Since there's no taxes, there's no difference. Signs, we had a couple of bids here. Vulcan Signs is actually our second bidder, but they're not a whole lot of difference between them and the first bidder. But the first bidder was Traffic Signs out of Jacksonville, and they submitted about 2 pages of stipulations with their bid, which was kind of getting away from the way we bid it. Certain quantities you had to order and minimums and stuff, and so we felt like it'd be better since they started getting out of the actual specs that we had wrote, and we felt like it'd be better to go with the second bidder, Vulcan Signs, and they have had our bid for a few years. And again, this is the same as herbicide. The state also has a signed bid put out, and we always purchase off the lower cost bid. The next item is our pre-disaster. This is something I started doing after the tornado in 2011 in April. We went ahead and done a pre-disaster bid for actual cleanups. We set that bid up where we could extend it in 1 year increments up to a period of 3 years. This will be the third year. And what we wanted to do with that was to actually renew it. I have a letter from the company saying that they're agreed to that. That's the way the bid was set up. And that's actually going to be your item number 6 on your agenda. Automotive maintenance services. I know the sheriff's here. He uses this most of the times. County Park Express Lube was our only bidder. Standard oil change with filter and 5 quarts of oil is $27.10. $3 if it's above, every quart above 5. If you use synthetic, it's $46.50. And castor oil plus filter is $30.75. Which I get my car changed for that pretty good price. Do you have anything you want to add about that? I know there's some questions.
We've had a couple of Dodge Chargers that had engine problems and taken them to the shop. The dealerships had to work on them, and the filters that the guy was using was collapsing. And he told us, had 2 different mechanics tell us, we can't use those filters. So we tell them to put on there what the Charger specs for, and then we just pay the extra.
And I think that's the unexpected castor oil.
And the oil also was an issue, so we asked them to bid the castor oil.
We don't have a mechanic that can change oil in the road department instead of sending these cars out?
Not for that price, I don't think they do. And they, like I said, they stay busy pretty well all the time, and I know it backs them up if they bring down.
Yeah, when our guys just pull in, get their oil changed, and they're back out on the road within 10 minutes, so.
But, if the commission chooses to start looking, doing that, we'd be glad to do it. But, we still can go and award this, and it'll be available, and we can choose to do different. But, I was really surprised with the price it was bid.
As long as we got priority when we pulled in, I'm good.
Next item is, this is use of the hot plant mix plant at Jackson Paving to make our coal mix with. We've been having good luck with that, and only bidder again, and bid was $25 a ton for use of the plant. That's been pretty well what it has since we started. Next item was printing and inserting and mailing. We use this primarily for our solid waste billing. We did set the bid up to where it could be used for any other county department that chose to use it. Arista out of Duluth, Georgia has that. This will be our second year. We asked that we renew it. I have a letter from them that they agreed to renew. This will be our second time, and that's actually your item number 7 on your agenda. Corrugated plastic pipe, wholesale supply, here out of Scottsboro was the only bidder. They've had it now for a couple of years and do a real good job with keeping us in the pipe that we need. Modified bituminous material, this is the material that we make our coal mix with. Again, Ergon Asphalt and Emulsion out of Mulva, Alabama was the low bidder, and $3.10 a gallon. Structural steel, last year was our first year to bid this because the county had basically never built any bridges up till that point. So we've seen the need to bid out structural steel, and we've done it on a cost plus basis. This year we received no bids. Mr. Green had it last year and he just failed, and he forgot about it, I think, was the problem. But by receiving no bids, we're actually able to negotiate now throughout the year, which will probably be better for us that we're able to do that.
Any
That's-
questions or comments, any of those items?
Should we send out bid requests to make sure that we get all of our local vendors?
Yeah, everybody gets it. It goes in the paper. We've got a list of vendors in the back of every bid, and it's got everybody, that's local that we send out. Even, we have to, if they request them from another state, we still have to send them out to them.
And any vendor, if you just call the commission office, you can get put on that big list.
Yeah. And they've been good about calling us. I think Anna and Kathy's called us on a couple that we have actually included in there. And sometimes they will call us directly.
Any other questions or comments on that? If none, we'll place this on the agenda immediately following. Okay. Next time, one-time bid for prefab steel truss bridge.
This is our Estill Fort Bridge that we talked about before. That we're trying to work in conjunction with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife and the Nature Conservancy. Y'all aware we've already bid out one. We bid it for a 14-foot wide by 80-foot length. That bid come in at $150,000. We had our community meeting back 2 or 3 weeks ago, and there was some concern from some of the area residents, primarily the farmers, about moving some of their, and y'all aware of this, moving some of their pickers or corn pickers and stuff across. Said it needed it to be at least 18 foot. And that was also talked about as far as if somebody wanted to move a mobile home. So we rebid and rebid an 18-foot by 80-foot bridge. And the bid was just what the vendor had actually indicated, $182,212 for a 80-foot length by 18 width. So that's about $32,000.
That's all. I said if we can get a copy of that before the meeting too. I think we'd seen it before, but
Yeah.
I had to have a copy.
Okay.
What was the
I
total?
think I sent one up here, 182,212. We left those copies down in the commission room, Mr. Hodges, this morning. So,
Okay. Any questions or comments on that? No? This is the committee's recommendation, probably go with 18 foot, is that right? Any other questions or comments? If none, we'll place this on the agenda immediately following also. County Road 95 project.
yes, sir. This is the one y'all had asked us to table last meeting to relook at. This will be, to kind of remind you, this will be the project that we use this 2013-2014 federal money for to replace or to surface. And it's about it'll be a 20% match on about a $975,000 daughter project.
Where's that located?
North Sand Mountain School, right across the road.
Any questions or comments on this?
I'll have I'll have a written resolution on that that has to be signed. We'll need to show that as a resolution with a number and also a letter of intent that the chairman will have to sign.
We need to do that tonight, correct?
That's correct.
Any questions or comments on that? Okay, we'll put that on the agenda immediately following also, if there's no objection. Okay, next item, solid waste, the payoff on collector trucks.
Me and the chairman have discussed this a little bit, and he asked me to put it on the work session to discuss with y'all. As y'all aware, we currently have 6 new trucks at solid waste. We've during that time we actually purchased 3 as we bought them, and we financed 3. I'm sorry, we purchased 2 and financed 4. 2 of those was originally purchased in November 2011. We paid 1 upfront payment. We've paid 1 payment since that time. So that leaves, we've done it for 4 payments. So that leaves 2 payments remaining, November of 13, which is just a couple months off, and November of 14. The payments are about $117,000 and some change. The payoff last week when I called about it is about $230,000 on those two trucks. So we paid it down about half. We've currently got the amount of money in the bank, or the available funds that we would like to pay off these 2 trucks. That would get everything on those cleared up. In February, we have 1 payment remaining on a truck that we actually bought in February of 2011 of about $80,000. That's the last payment on it. That would get it cleared up after February. So after that time, the only remaining truck that we will have that we have not paid for would be the one that we just recently purchased since y'all came in office. The one that we borrowed about $200,000 on.
What we're looking at is 2 trucks for a payoff, right?
Yes, we're looking at 2. They're both set up together. Yes.
Questions or comments on that? Mr. Venable and I met with the budget, looking at the budget, I think, what were your thoughts on that?
The money coming from solid waste. That's right.
We got it.
It would
Okay.
come from the cash balance in solid waste, and it would free up some of this allotment per year that.
Yeah, it'll free up in our budget when we start getting that finalized. It'll free up those line items. It's got the principal and interest on there, about $117,000.
What kind of savings are you looking at by paying this off early?
About around $6,000.
$6,000?
About $6,000, yes.
Any questions or comments? Okay, if there's no objection, we'll place this on the agenda immediately following. Okay, next item, recommendation from the administrative hiring committee. You have in your packets a letter from myself regarding the hiring committee's recommendation. You also have a job description for the position. And I think everyone's had an opportunity to take a look at this. This is the contract that's proposed for that position. They can review that. And I'd like to ask that we put this on the agenda immediately following also. And are there any questions or comments that are on it at this time? I'd ask that if we do this, that we approve the job description along with the authorization to move forward on the proposed contract. Questions, comments? We'll have a short recess. Meeting for the time to do it. Thank you for okay. Okay, if there's no objection, we'll place that on the agenda immediately following. Okay, next item, changing September 2nd work session due to Labor Day. I'd like to ask to move that work session to Tuesday the 3rd. If there's no no objection, we'll place that on the agenda immediately following. Okay, next item, renewal contract with Crowder Gulf for disaster debris removal, and number 7, renew contract with Arista Information. As noted, these were in those bid specs. When we approved the bid specs, though, we still need to approve these contracts separately, correct? So do you have anything else to add on that, Mr. White?
No.
Are there any other questions on those 2 items? Disaster relief, this is the 3rd year, you said, so next year we will have to get a new.
It's the 3rd year with the disaster. It's the 2nd year with the Arista. So Arista will have 1 more year.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on that? Okay, if there's no objection, we'll place both of those. Do we have a contract, or it'll be a continuation of the contract?
That'll be a continuation.
No objection, we'll place those on the agenda immediately following. Next item, renewal of the rental contract with the Jackson County DHR. The DHR building is a county building and was rented to the DHR. Mr. Porter, said you had time to review this?
I have.
Okay. There are no changes with it.
That's correct. And they have, under the original contract, lease agreement, they have the right to additional renewals of 5 years. So that's what this is, one of those renewals.
So questions or comments on this item?
Now, when this one is up, that'll be the end of this contract. This takes the 2nd renewal. In the contract, they have the option to renew it for 2 periods of 5 years, and this is the 2nd one they're renewing. So in 2018, assuming they want to stay, they will have to renew the contract.
Any other questions or comments? If there's no objection, then we'll place this in the agenda immediately following. And the last item on the agenda is regarding a training agreement, and I have that here. So we'll take a look at that. I've asked for this quote on some additional training for myself, the office staff, on our software, as well as to input some information in the system. And also the real primary reason is for our new administrator, for some training for the new administrator so that they can be caught up to speed on the software system and understand that. And this is a very competitive rate compared to the current, standing contract we have. It's half as expensive to go this route. So it's not, as it says, if you look at the very last page, it mentions 15 days. We're not tied to 15 days, as I understand it, or we need to make sure that we approve this with that stipulation that we guarantee, 5 days, and then anything after that, it's got the price per day for this trainer. So, any questions or comments on that? Your 2nd page shows kind of the scope of services and what I've asked the trainer to entail. Questions, comments? If there's none, I'd like to ask that we place this on the meeting immediately following as well. That concludes the items on our work session agenda. We'll hold off on our reports from staff till we finish with the meeting agenda, and we will take a 10-minute recess and proceed with the meeting. We need to adjourn or recess for that.
We are adjourning for this particular meeting.
So, entertain a motion to adjourn the work session. Motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no.